What about your handwriting? Is it small, large, or completely unintelligible? Well, according to our next guest, you can tell an awful lot about a person from their scribbles. Graphologist Michael Watts has just produced this book, The Naked Hand. So we asked him to come and decipher the handwriting of some of our team here. So here we have, looking a little nervous, I have to say, Nina and Grant. And we also have Roy, and Roy's partner Loretta, who's not here, obviously, but we've got some of her handwriting as well. And can I just say that if you'd like Michael to take a look at your handwriting or doodles, then we'll give you an address to write to a little bit later on. So grab a pen and paper, and Michael's going to be back sometime in the future to analyse what it all means. So hit us with the basic theory, Michael.
Okay, Jane. The theory of graphology is based on the fact that handwriting is in fact body language, and it's well accepted that body language is a very revealing method of assessing personality and human emotions.
What, body language with your pen?
Well, body language is actually body movement, and the hand is producing very subtle body motions using the thumb and index finger, and these are frozen on paper with the advantage that you have plenty time to analyse them. Also, whereas ordinary body language is susceptible to censorship, handwriting generally is not censored unless the person happens to know a lot about graphology and is purposely manipulating his writing.
And it's taken quite seriously these days, isn't it?
Oh yes, it has been on the continent. I mean, in France, at the Sorbonne University, I had an aunt who was studying graphology as far back as, I think it was 1950. And in the University of Zurich, it's part of a psychology degree course, also at Heidelberg University in Germany. But in England, they've taken a long time to accept this art-stroke-science method of assessing personality, which actually is far more effective than any other current interviewing techniques.
Well, we have a severe panel of judges here who will be putting your skills to the test. So we're not going to disguise whose writing this is, actually. Our first example, first sample, sounds a bit disgusting, is Nina's writing.
Yes. Well, to begin with, I only just got this sample of writing just before I came on the show.
Oh, but the excuses are coming out already,
we'll have a go at this one.
Right.
Well, if you look at Nina's writing, you notice that there's a degeneration of many of the letters within words, which is a sign of excessive speed in the personality, suggesting that you're somewhat of an adrenaline addict. Now, that has positive and negative connotations. On the positive side, you'll be the sort of person who can respond to emergency situations at an instant's notice. On the negative side, you may tend at times to overreact unnecessarily to what may be trivial circumstances. You have a great deal of energy showing in your writing and an extremely vivid imagination with loads of resourcefulness. That's actually shown by the large balloon-shaped loops you have in the lower sections of your writing.
I always thought balloon-shaped loops was to do with your sexuality, actually.
That also, but I was told when I came on this show that
on no account were we to get dirty.
No, that's right. It's actually in the area of
nothing below the loops.
Well, vivid imagination applies to all sections of life, including one's sexuality. So when you see someone with a great deal of resourcefulness and a vivid imagination, you can be sure that that will be applied in the sexual zone of their life as well.
This explains the chandelier in our bedroom.
Or perhaps a mirror on the ceiling. But you're the sort of person who is able to remain with one partner, I think, for a great length of time without becoming too bored with the sexual repertoire, because you're able to always think up new, innovative ways of expressing yourself sexually, perhaps.
We'll wait for your reaction to that, but let's move swiftly on to Grant, who is the partner, of course. So.
Okay, well, I was asked to do a sort of rough comparing and contrasting of these writings.
Yes.
Now, Grant has an exceptionally powerful personality, and he's overflowing with ambitious drive. And there are many positive connotations to that combination of characteristics, but also on the negative side, you may tend to control too much in the relationship. There will be an attempt to dominate at times that is bound to be strongly rejected by Nina, because Nina also has leadership drive, but it's more a desire to do her own thing without interference, whereas you not only have this leadership drive, but you have a desire to control the movements of those around you. Excellent managerial potential.
You've been talking in the green room, haven't you?
I haven't spoken to anyone about it.
He hasn't spoken to either of us, actually.
No, but
Because the word control freak
Well,
actually sounds familiar.
Does it really?
Yes, it does.
Because I have to say, you know, seeing you every week as I do, when you come in with Nina, I mean, I never get that impression. You don't look
that's
overtly
the
like
difference between a control freak and a clever control freak. You just don't realise it's happening.
Would you say it's true that you have a powerful personality?
I don't know if that's for me to judge. From the outside, I can feel that I do have a controlling aspect about me, which is quite right.
Yes.
Absolutely right.
And he does take a sort of managerial line with you, doesn't he?
Oh no, he likes to control. But then of course I'm extremely stubborn. But oddly enough, we never fight. We just don't argue.
Well,
Can you believe that we don't argue?
Well, I'll tell you, I was going to say one tremendous saving grace in your relationship is you both have an excellent sense of humour, and I think when things heat up too much, you defuse the situation.
Absolutely.
With,
that is exactly what happens.
Right.
That is exactly what
But if you
happens.
didn't have such, both of you have got, you know, extraordinarily powerful senses of humour. And if you didn't have that trait, I think you would be dealing with a lot of conflict. And I think generally Grant would win.
Oh, really?
Actually, so far I have. She doesn't realise it.
Roy,
Don't be
you
so
can't run out now. It's your turn.
Okay, well, it's interesting looking at Roy's writing. I don't know whether it's visible on camera, but you can see the tremendous length of these downward stems. And if you actually measure them, we're talking about around 8 times the size of the central area of the writing, the area occupied by ovals. That's a sign of uncontrollable physical vitality. But I mean, that's the reason I explained in detail why I've said what I've said, but it's obvious you have that because of the job that you do. But it's really absolutely necessary when you see that level of physical stamina that you have a physical job, because the day you stop exercising will be the day you start developing all sorts of psychological problems that will not actually be coming from psychological, have psychological sources, but will be coming from this overflowing physical energy that's being suppressed.
I suppose people could say, be fair, even if you'd never met Roy before, there he is in his lycra. It's a fair assumption, isn't it, that he's got a lot of physical energy?
That's right, and that's why I went into detail explaining why I said what I said, because if you look, Jane, here at the massive lower zone extensions, if you compare them...
Got a massive extension.
Yes. But if you compare them with all the other...
Yes.
If you compare them with all the other writing samples, you'll see by far these are the longest lower extensions out of all these handwriting samples. And
I feel a
he's
blush
obviously
coming
the
on,
fittest.
Roy. I feel a blush. Let's move on to Loretta, shall we?
Say whatever you like.
Okay,
about
just
got here.
Okay, well, one last thing I'll just say is Roy obviously has tremendous showmanship and a very open manner, but actually people close to him will know that it takes a long time for him to actually really trust someone at a deep level, because you actually have a very private personality that lies underneath the showmanship that you need to use for what you do. So that's something that...
Clever stuff.
Is it true, Roy?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, now I'm on to number 4.
This is Loretta. This is Roy's other half.
Your girlfriend. Well, I think a lot of the time she's a great support to you in the area of self-esteem, because you have good self-esteem and it comes over in your manner of dealing with people. But if that ever ebbs in any way, she can compensate for any reductions you feel and boost your ego again, because she has a tremendous amount of inner self-confidence and also a very emotionally independent personality. She's more emotionally independent than you are, and this is she's like a strong anchor for you to hold on to in times of great stress. She can't match your physical energy, no way about that, but in terms of social energy, she can even be more energetic, so she can keep going in party situations perhaps as long or longer than you.
Definitely true.
Because,
Really?
because she's really very much turned on by social situations. She just loves people. She hasn't got anywhere near the amount of privacy in the personality that you have. She just loves to be around people all the time, whereas you need your private time. You need your solitude.
Oh, that's very, very good.
Is it, Roy? Really?
Yes,
You're not
that's
just
true.
being polite?
No, not at all, no. I
Yeah.
would say that's rubbish if it was, but it's not.
Yeah, fantastic. Right, let's move on to doodles, actually.
Okay.
We've got a couple of doodles here, and I don't know, I think this is somebody up in the office, actually, who's remaining anonymous. What do you make of this, then?
Okay. Well, there's 3 doodles, obviously done by the same person. I'm going to home in on this doodle here. It's a doodle of flowers, or a daisy chain, and the reason I'm picking that one
That's the bottom
because
right-hand corner, yeah?
It's the bottom right-hand corner. And the reason I'm picking that is because it's quite a common doodle. Now, flowers, I'm going to read directly out of this book because I think it'll demonstrate the ease with which one can use it. Flowers are typically drawn by people in love who have a very childlike, innocent side to their nature. Their attitude to love, sex and relationships will be charmingly refreshing, though somewhat adolescent and immature at times. These individuals are invariably very sentimental, compassionate and romantic, and are generally only able to really enjoy sex if it goes hand in hand with deep feelings of mutual love. This is certainly not the type who enjoys a passionately erotic one-night stand with a complete stranger. In a long-term relationship, such people are likely to be loyal and faithful and will undoubtedly be devastated if a partner deceives them with another lover. And it's interesting here, looking at these other doodles, they don't actually feature in the sexual doodle section, but there's a lot of angularity on these doodles, and angularity is a sign also of aggressive impulses, and I think that's interesting to note when in the last part of that description I said that if they're let down they will become extremely angry, and
You won't like me when I'm angry.
Oh, that's your doodle.
No, it isn't actually, no.
Okay.
What's it worse, the producer who knows this is her doodle for me not to give your name away? No, I wouldn't dream of doing that. But it is very accurate actually, I think. Everybody who knows it would agree. That's brilliant, really fascinating stuff, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Really
And
terrific.
very accurate too.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Well, we'll hopefully see you soon, because if that's got you intrigued at home and you'd like our graphologist here, Michael Watts, to take a look at your handwriting or doodles, and maybe together with those of your partners. What does your handwriting reveal about you? More than you might think, according to our next guest. A couple of weeks ago, graphologist Michael Watts joined us on the programme to analyse the scribbles and doodles of some of our regular contributors, including Roy. And they were impressed, and so were we. So we asked you to send us some examples of your handwriting. So thanks very much for all your letters. We've had a fantastic response, and I'm sorry that we can't reply personally to all of you. But Michael is back with us today to analyse the hidden messages found in a selection of your letters. So let's get straight into it, Michael. Jackie Cupido, marvellous name, isn't it, from Milton Keynes. And Jackie is waiting on the line as well. But let's hear first of all what you have to say. Sort of, what's your kind of initial impressions, Mike?
Okay, my initial impression is this is the handwriting of someone who has exceptional mental focus. They can focus their attention single-mindedly for a great deal of time in isolation, and their mental stamina is absolutely enormous, so they can keep on going when other people around them would be dropping. However,
what do you get that? What do you get that from?
Well, the extreme small size of the writing is an indication. I mean, if anyone were to try and copy this script, they would discover that it requires an enormous amount of mental focus just to complete the act of writing letters in such a small fashion. But I wanted to go on and say, you mention a suggestion that perhaps your writing was turned down as a result of a graphological report, and I can say that you have many talents. You've got a resourceful imagination, and you have good social skills potentially, but there's something blocking you, and that is your nature is very emotionally repressed. And I would suggest that perhaps your childhood, for some reason or another, suppressed the full expression of your personality and self-esteem, and your self-esteem is actually shown to be extremely low at times, and I think you should think about getting into some sort of assertiveness training,
Jackie,
because you're not expressing yourself in the best possible light.
Okay, Jackie, what do you make of that?
I agree with that. I have had my ups and downs when I was young emotionally.
Really? So difficult childhood, you
Yeah.
say?
I would like to ask him if he can ascertain what hand I am,
What do you mean?
whether he can ascertain whether I'm left-handed or right-handed, because it was something that was repressed when I was a child.
Oh, really?
Okay. Well, normally the only way you can see if a person's right or left-handed is through looking at aspects such as the T crossings, which, if they're sharp on the left-hand side, suggests they are left-handed. But I mean, whether you write in right or left hand and whether that's natural to you, you're likely to know best. It's not something I can answer, but I can say that you really do need to think about getting some sort of counselling to allow you to allow the full flowering of your personal talents and potentials.
Okay, Jackie, how do you respond to that?
I agree, because I seem to undertake things, but then I don't have the confidence in myself. I always question what I do, and I worry about what I do rather than accept it.
We hope this has inspired you to go and get some help, Jackie.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks very much for your call and your letter. And Pam Little from Redruth in Cornwall's next, and she's on the line. And I suppose you want to look at the letter, really, don't you? That would help.
That's right. Okay, well, Pam's writing is an interesting writing. It actually is fairly close to copybook, as I think she mentions in her letter to me. Her writing shows plenty self-discipline, excellent emotional self-control, excellent mental stamina, and she can keep on going when others are dropping. She has a great sense of responsibility, enormous determination, and an assertive will which would be well suited to occupying a position of authority in the work zone. You also have a vivid creative imagination coupled with an innate feel for form and structure and good manual dexterity.
Okay, well, I mean, does any of that relate to the doodles at all?
No, I actually didn't look at the doodles because I was focusing on the actual
Okay.
handwriting
All right.
samples. I'm
Pam?
saying this.
Yes,
Pam's on the line.
Jane.
Yeah, what do you make of that, Pam?
Absolutely spot on.
Which group?
When I was working, I did have a junior management job. So he's absolutely spot on.
But Pam, I'd like to go on a little further. I was going to say that you have an aptitude for performing fine precision movements requiring attention to detail and creative skills, and this would have served you well in areas of design such as graphic, interior, clothes design, and I would think you possibly have an interest in architecture as well, and either you would have done some creative work or at least had a creative pastime, and if neither is true, then I think there's a certain wastage of creative talent which seems so pronounced. You also have a very emotional nature, and you experience life with a tremendous intensity, but you actually hide this emotional side of yourself from all but those who know you extremely well.
Briefly, Pam, is there a
Yes.
frustrated artist in you?
Yes, Jane, yes, I do like art very much. And the other thing that he said, yes, I do. Yes, that's
You hide your
absolutely.
emotions.
Yeah, yes, mainly from people that I don't know.
Okay, and the other thing I notice is there appears to be a strong interest in philosophy and or areas of spirituality, well-developed philosophical ethical
Well, I think she's
system.
gone off to meditate now, actually, Michael. But thanks ever so much indeed. That's terrific. We're going to take a short break now.